What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Owen Blue, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how you need to set up your testing campaigns for your dropshipping business using Facebook ads. Over the past few years, I've generated millions of dollars online, and I'm currently running Facebook ads for my dropshipping business, unlike a lot of the gurus that you see out here. So I'm going to break down exactly how to set up these campaigns, what not to do, and what to do so that you can take these strategies and implement them into your own business to find your winning products. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video.
Here is my exact $1 million Facebook ad strategy. For testing, I always create a CBO campaign with one ad set, zero targeting, with a starting budget of around $200. In the ad set, I have 1 to 3 ads. If it performs well, I double the budget every single day. And if it stops performing, just lower the budget until you find the sweet spot of the campaign. That's literally it. Have fun scaling.
All right, guys, let's go over this and break this down and debunk what this guy's saying. So obviously, this guy's preaching a one-size-fits-all approach to Facebook ads, which just isn't the case. Every single business, every single product performs differently. Everybody has a different ad account, different pixel setup, and a different website. So there's a lot of things that you need to be thinking about when testing, right? What variables are we going to be testing? How are we going to be structuring our tests? And the best practices to move forward. So there's a couple things from this video that this guy talks about that I do agree with. CBO campaigns. If you're going to be leveraging CBO campaigns to scale your ads anyways, you should be starting off testing with CBOs. It just makes transitioning over to scaling a lot easier than, the typical methods of starting with ABO, doing a bunch of tests and then trying to scale with CBOs. So I do agree that CBOs are the way to go. The thing that I don't agree with, and I'll just go over it here, is what this guy talks about with setting up broad targeting. So yes, Facebook's algorithm is so powerful that broad targeting, open interests, no interest targeting can do very, very well. But it doesn't mean that that's the only way to scale Facebook ads. And doesn't mean that that's what's going to work inside your account. So you can't just go into the mindset of thinking, hey, I'm just going to structure my campaigns one single way and hope that it works. There's no one size fits all approach. You have to understand the variables that you're going to be testing, figuring out what works, and then scale what works inside your campaigns. So the variables that you're going to want to be testing is your audience/targeting, right? So I'll put that here, audience and targeting. You're also going to be testing your structure, right? So the campaign structure that you're going to be using, and I'll go over all of that in this video, and your creatives as well. So let's go down here. So the first thing that you want to do is, number one, you have to validate the product. Is the product even worth scaling and putting budget into? So the way that you want to do this is you want to first validate that product by testing out usually two things. You want to be starting out with interest targeting, split testing it against broad targeting in your account. So he's saying, just do broad targeting. You don't need interest, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of people that preach that. And yes, broad targeting crushes if you can get it working in your account. If you're starting with a brand new account with no data, a lot of times broad targeting won't work for you, depending on the product that you're running as well. If it's very niche specific compared to a mass appeal product, interest might be the way to go. And you can scale, and I've scaled millions of dollars with interest in 2024, and you can do the same. You don't just need broad targeting, but you want to be split testing these in the very beginning to basically validate that product. So you want to figure out, okay, is this product actually going to bring me sales? Are these sales going to be profitable? Is this something that I actually want to put more budget into? And I'll go over the structure on how you want to do that. So basically, you want to be setting up your campaign as a CBO campaign, and you're going to have an interest-based CBO campaign. Now, again, guys, we're just validating the product here. So we're not going out and testing our audiences and finding, audiences that we can then scale. We're just validating the product and how I would set it up. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to establish, okay, does this product actually work and which market is it going to be selling in? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up 3 CBO campaigns, right? So we're going to run CBO 1, CBO 2, and CBO 3. And we're basically basing this on, this is a new ad account. This is something that doesn't have a bunch of data, and we're going to be leveraging this as a method of testing and validating that product. So you're going to have your 3 CBOs, and in each of your 3 CBOs, you're going to have your top 3 most common sense interests. And why we're running 3 is because we're just, again, validating the product. We're going to be using the most common sense interests possible, right? So if we're selling a makeup brush, you want to be targeting interests that are common sense, like makeup, right? Or make a brush if that's an interest. And as common sense towards the product as possible. And then I'll just put number threes. You can figure that out. And then you're going to run the exact same interest in each of these three CBOs. Now, the only difference between these CBOs when we're initially testing is that we're going to be testing markets. And the three markets that I like to test, just again, prove the product before we dive into more markets and start to scale up this product, is the United States of America, your European top tier countries, so your high tier countries in Europe, and then worldwide, excluding third world countries. So you're going to set up each of these three CBOs. You're going to set them at, something that you're comfortable with spending for 24 to 48 hours. So I'm just going to put $50 as the budget for this example. And again, there's no like one size fits all to your budget. How much, should I be running my campaigns at? This is basically based on your preference and also allowing Facebook to spend enough over a certain amount of period of time to collect enough data to sell your product, right? So if you had a low ticket product, right? So say you're selling a product for $40 and you have a $30 profit margin, it's going to be different compared to a high ticket product that you're selling for $200 that, maybe has a $100 profit margin, right? You can spend up to $100 to acquire a customer and break even on this high ticket product. But if you have a low ticket product, you can only spend up to $30 to acquire a customer and break even before all of your operating expenses, right? So you're going to have different amounts of spend per test based on your ticket of product, right? So a lot of people say, oh, you have to set your budgets at a certain amount. It's all dependent on your business, your product, your setup, and everything else in between. So don't get that wrong. Again, there's no one size fits all approach. We're going to set these up at $50 per day each, right? So we're spending $150 to test out this product, and we're going to let these run for 24 hours. Why 24 hours? 24 hours because each of these markets that we're selling into have different time zones, right? So a full 24-hour period gives a full 24 hours of spend based on the time zone of each of these markets, meaning we're giving Facebook a full day of spend, right? Because people in the United States, there might be a higher buying period in the evening, which is going to be a different time than the evening period of some of the European markets or some of the worldwide markets that we're going to be selling in. So you want to give it at least a 24-hour period of spend before making decisions on, again, providing and proving proof of this product that we're going to actually potentially scale. So hopefully you guys are following along. If you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments. I'll be able to answer those more in depth. If you haven't already, just smash that like button as it helps me get this out to more people, helps motivate me to make videos just like this for all of you guys. And again, if you're not already subbed to the channel, subscribe to this channel because I'm going to be dropping value bombs like this each and every week on the week so that you can be the first to watch these videos. But let's get into it. So we first want to validate the product. Is this something that we're going to be pushing further? And this is how I would set up my testing campaigns, because you might find that this product starts working better in the United States compared to the European market, and it might also crush in the worldwide setup as well. And then later down the line, you can start to focus into the markets and start to scale in individual markets that are performing best for your product and your business. Okay, so let's get into the other things that we want to be considering when testing. So when you're doing these initial tests, you want to be considering, okay, say you've proven that product, right? We're going to go back to proving the product, right? So I'll just put proving, right, with everything that we talked about before. The next thing that you want to do is say we've proven that product. Now we want to establish our audiences, right? And this is where we're going to go back to what we were saying before of testing interests against broad targeting and seeing which brings the highest outcome, right? The best outcome. You might find that interests are performing a lot better than broad in the beginning because you might have less data and you need to target Facebook a little bit more than opening up broad in the initial data collection phase, right? So it's totally fine if interests are performing better than broad. You can scale those as well and then test broad later on once you've got more data. So say you've got a couple hundred purchases in your account, then you come back and test broad. Now that you've got more data, it might start to work better, and then you can scale that as well. You might also find that broad starts performing better than interest right out the gate. A lot of times that means you've got something strong that you can then scale and push budgets more aggressively because it's got such mass appeal, and the algorithm is having an easy time finding your target market, right? Your audience and your customers. So again, we've now proven the product. We've split tested our audiences, interest versus broad. We figured out, say, for example, broad is starting to work better or interest is starting to work better. It doesn't really matter. The other thing that we want to be now looking at establishing are, number 3, equally as important, creatives, right? So let's write this down, creatives. So why we want to establish our winning targeting or audiences, whatever you want to call it, first is because we want to be basing our creative testing on our best performing audience, right? What audience are we going to scale and spend more money on? We want to be testing our creatives against that audience because we're going to be spending money on that audience anyways. So we want to establish that first before we start testing creative. And how we want to be structuring our creative testing is the exact same way that we're testing in the initial. We're running a CBO campaign, right? And say we've got our winning audience is broad targeting. We'll use, for example, we'll pop that into the ad set here. And then we're going to be testing our creatives inside of that ad set, right? So this is the ad set. These are the creatives. And we're going to be putting a different creative in each of these ad sets and then letting Facebook optimize to find our winning creative or our creative that is going to start taking the spend inside this ad set. We've got normal creatives, right? So I'll just put number 1, normal creatives, and number 2, we've got post IDs. So the main difference between normal creatives and post IDs is normal creatives or normal ads is basically how you set up a normal ad, right? It's going to launch with no engagement, and then it's going to start collecting engagement. And as you dupe a new ad into a new campaign, it basically resets. So I'll just put a reset there. The difference with post IDs is that you can actually take the post ID from the original ad, keep the engagement on that ad, and then run it with that engagement to then collect even more engagement. And every time you duplicate a post ID, it does not reset, it keeps the engagement. And you can continue building up engagement on these post IDs. So this is what you want to be looking for, is after you establish a winning creative, you want to be then scaling it as a normal ad as well as duplicating it and using the post IDs in new campaigns and scale those as well. So I know this was a information packed video. I just wanted to break down like the whole status quo of like a one size fits all approach to Facebook ads and how, you can run this for your business and it'll work no matter what. That's just not how it works. You have to figure out what works inside your ad account and scale and do more of what's working. And we can break down all of this inside of our e-commerce academy group. So I want to invite you to join that group down below. You're going to be able to get access for literally $1. We're opening up access for $1 for 30 days for limited access. I don't know how long we're going to keep this open for, but this is access where you guys can get direct feedback from me, my business partner, and other people inside of our community who are on the same journey as you. We literally have members inside of our community doing $18,000 a day in sales, and it's only $1 access. So that link's going to be down in the description below. We're going to be able to tackle all of this inside your business and help take you from where you are to where you're trying to go. So without any further ado, go click that link and I'll see you guys inside the group.